comment keeps coming up and coming up.
It's
It is our
crucial.
home.
It's our home. And you see, when your environment is a great environment, I think that it also
Yes.
produces something good. But when you live in a polluted environment, from the beginning, the
Yes.
odds are against you. The odds are against you because you're in a sense a product of your environment.
Beautiful people, welcome to another beautiful episode of the Nana Yaa Yeboaa Podcast. I have gone all the way from Brantford in Canada to Ghana, and we are going to talk about environment. The earth affects each other, from the rainy seasons to if you're here, we're talking about winters being long and cold, to very hot summers, and then to deforestations on the continent of Africa and how it affects even the Amazon. So we are all interconnected. There are people spearheading the need and the consciousness of all of us to take care of Mother Earth so that Mother Earth is also going to take care of us. Awula Serwah. As a matter of fact, I love your name. Awula Serwah. Welcome onto the Nana Yaa Yeboaa podcast.
Thank you so much, my sister, my beautiful Nana Yaa Yeboaa. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you. So I looked at the work you're doing, and you're doing incredible work in Ghana. And if I see it, I don't think I'm the only person seeing it, but other people are also seeing this incredible work. I think my interest really is what propelled you.
Well, I mean, I can say that I took inspiration from my parents. I mean, both are people who don't just sit around. If there's something that is wrong, you try and find a solution to it. I grew up with a beautiful garden. My mother loved her roses, and I remember she had this friend, Auntie Lizzie Nutsuga. She had green fingers, beautiful garden, beautiful plants. So I've grown up with a love of my surroundings. We lived in Ghana, went to Switzerland, came back to Ghana, went Switchback Road, beautiful grounds. And then we moved to our own place in La, which was known as Abom, which is the garden. And when we first moved here, there were not lots of people around, and everything was fine. The new people started coming, and the area started to change. This was about 30 years ago. So I formed the Isla Environmental Group, and the idea was to keep the surroundings neat. We had our plants inside the house and outside. People had goats, and they'll let their goats come and just munch your plants. You try to say that, look, we want to keep a clean environment. There were all sorts of issues, and I did what I could, and then I left and went to the UK. There we had an organization as well. But if you want to talk about eco-conscious citizens, I think it was in 2017. I was then living in the UK, and I've got this WhatsApp image of the River Pra, how it used to be so nice and blue, and now it had become
Yes.
brown. People were just forwarding, and I thought, I'm not going to just forward. Why has the river turned brown? What can we do about it? So we got a petition going, we got a number of signatures, and we took it to the Ghana High Commission in London. The High Commissioner received it very positively, and we had a discussion. And she even told us about the northern region where the rosewood trees were being cut
Yes.
and the deforestation
Yes,
taking
I
place,
remember.
you know. And then, exactly. And then we did get a reply to our petition, a very nice reply, telling us that they were so pleased that those of us in the diaspora were concerned about the environment. They were working on it, and efforts were being made. This is 2017. Fast forward to 2025, and things have just
Bad to
gone from
worse.
bad
Yes.
to worse. So you wonder what was actually being done. So I came to Ghana on a visit. I would come every year, but in 2019, I believe, when I came on a visit, as I said, we had a garden, so I needed some work done. So I called staff from Parks and
Yes.
Gardens. So they came to do the work, and they hinted to me that Parks and Gardens was under threat, that the Ministry of Local Government was thinking of, believe it or not, they were going to build a multi-story office building on Parks and Gardens land. I mean, can you believe that? So we decided that this wasn't going to happen. And this was the first campaign we fought to try and stop Parks and Gardens land from being built on. It was a campaign. We got signatures. We had to go to the local authority. Parks and Gardens Accra, the one opposite in cantonments, is under LADMA, Ladade Kotokpo Municipal Assembly. There was a meeting. We found out that they were going to, what shall I say, rezone the area. So we went to the meeting. We did so many things. We even had something read for us in Parliament, and we succeeded. It, and that was what led to eco-conscious citizens. And then it was wider than, eco-conscious citizens. We are working for a clean, green, healthy, and serene environment. So we've been doing so many things. Our green spaces, we're asking for an audit of all parks and gardens lands across Ghana, because you have parks and gardens in every regional capital. We found out that in Wa, a petrol station is being built on parks and gardens land. We tried to stop it. My information from our contacts in WA that everything has stopped, but what was put on has not been demolished. We are talking about parks and gardens in so all the district capitals, whether Ho, um, what Kumasi, all of them are under siege. So we've asked for an audit of all parks and gardens land so that we can protect them. Recently, that was I think in May, I got information that Parks and Gardens Tamale, somebody had brought sand and was wanted to build on it. I managed to contact the a contact who he contacted the local government minister, and he contacted the regional minister. And my information is that that threat is no longer ongoing. The situation has been resolved. But you see, we keep an eye on what is going on. So that has been it to do with our green spaces. But I know it's wider than that. And then we are also interested in illegal mining. I'll be honest and I'll say that I don't like the word galamsey. The reason why I don't like the word galamsey is that galamsey has been with us from time immemorial. They were using hand tools. And my information that it means come and gather. So things that were left over, they were using hand tools and could not cause the current devastation. Right now, the game has changed. It's clear criminal activity. They're using heavy duty machinery,
So
the
that's not
excavators,
galamsey.
the chanfans, you can't call it galamsey because you see, when you call it galamsey, it takes away the seriousness of it. In the run up to the elections, and by the way, I'm Ga, so I don't really speak Tree, but there was a video by the vice president, and I had it translated. And according to those who translated it, she was saying that they were not coming to stop galamsey; they were coming to streamline it or whatever. Now, if you're using the word illegal mining, nobody in their right sense would say, "I'm not going to stop illegal mining." I mean,
Yeah.
you are a responsible person. So I think that we should say um, illegal
Call
mining.
it
That's
by
what it
what
is.
it
It's
really
pure
truly is.
criminal, yeah, pure criminal activity. Using excavators, one excavator can clear so much land in a very short time. How much land can you clear using your hand tools? You cause damage, but not at the same rate. And they were not poisoning our water bodies using mercury, cyanide to watch the goal. So the game has changed, and it's now a very serious matter. And we face at present what I call well, not me, what every sensible person calls an existential threat. Our forests are being destroyed. We all know the value of our forests, apart from giving us
Yes.
clean energy, being our lungs. They also mitigate floods and so on and so forth, help with the climate. But we are destroying our forests. The trees that our ancestors preserved for us, this generation, the generation that said, we don't care about anybody who's coming after us. It's just us. We're a very selfish, greedy generation. And then we are poisoning our water bodies. And we don't seem to understand that when you poison your water, water is life. In the so-called illegal, I'm not going to use Galamsey belt, I'll say the legal mining area, where the majority of illegal mining takes place, there's a rise in kidney disease, maternal deaths, um, what do you call it, deformed babies. What on earth are we waiting for to sit up and smell the coffee? And then, the water is being poisoned, and the same water is being used to water our farmland. So, what we
We're
think we are
killing
consuming,
ourselves.
the fishes, where are they from? I mean, we don't seem to think beyond
Yes.
today that it's an existential threat. The house is burning. And I'm disappointed that we don't seem to be descending on this problem. Ghanaians don't seem to be angry enough at being poisoned. I keep on saying that Ghana water, what it does is that the water, they take away the stuff that makes it brown, but they don't take away the toxins. So the water could be clear. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has no mercury or whatever in it. So we shouldn't think that we are safe. So Ghanaians should be angry enough and say that if you are a government, we want you to deal robustly with the environmental
Mm-hmm.
terrorists. I call them terrorists because even in wartime, you cannot poison the water source. It's a war crime. So they have declared war on Ghanaians by poisoning our source of water. Whilst not much is happening, so we really, really need to do something. I know I've gone on and on and
No,
on, but it's
it's very
an existential.
it is, and I think sometimes, if you living outside and you come to Ghana for a brief period of time, or you following the news, it's like, oh, Ghanaians sepa, and look at what we doing. Kumononi wo fio kenine. Yes, but the difference that I see is the call to action, the education, giving voice, and speaking truth to what things actually are. Because we are often a point, rather than how do we resolve it. I'm I'm happy that there are people such as yourself consciously taking it head on, and those that I think are asleep at the wheel telling them to wake up.
Yes, and you see, the difficulty is that I find out that a lot of the time we're not public spirited. We are thinking of just
Yes.
ourselves. So unless we think that it directly affects us, which is
Mm-hmm.
sad, we don't really want to do anything about it. Recently, this gentleman had written a book, I think, Africa at the Risk of Peril. And I went for the launch. And somebody there was reiterating the fact that recently, some tubers, I think sometime last year, some tubers and plantain were taken to the United States and they were found to contain mercury. So if you're sitting in the US or in Canada or anywhere and your food stuffs is coming from Ghana, I mean, plantain comes from different countries other than Ghana. But if you have
Your
food stuff coming
yams.
from Ghana and think your yam, think again. If you're in Accra and you think that, oh, it's only happening in the Galamsey area or the illegal mining area, think again. Where do you think your yam is coming from? Where is your cassava coming from? When you go to a restaurant, where's your food coming from? Where's your contemporary coming from? But you see, what is disappointing is that even if it's not affecting me, Ghanaians are religious. Our churches are full. But what is the gospel about? Love your neighbor as yourself. The gospel isn't about making so much noise and disturbing everybody around us. I mean, if you look at Ghanaian churches, you would think that the mark of being a Christian is shouting to wake up the dead. We do a lot of advocacy around noise pollution. But that is not what the gospel is about. But if you care about your fellow man, love your neighbor as yourself, you don't have to be directly affected. When my neighbor is hurting, I'm
Yes.
also hurting. Love your neighbor as yourself. So all Ghanaians should rise. I mean, there are some very good organizations. You have Arocha Ghana. You have Food Sovereignty Ghana. You have good organized Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, Ghana Youth Environmental. I mean, you have good organizations where you have
Mm-hmm.
fantastic people who care about the environment. But as a whole, Ghanaians need to be angry at what is happening. Not angry to go around burning cars and causing mayhem, but to tell those at the helm of affairs that we have voted for you and you are supposed to be, safeguarding our interests. And if you don't do something by this time, we are going to hit the streets. In the run up to the elections, I'm sure
Yes.
you are aware, there was a lot of
Yes.
movement going on, and a lot of us got together, civic society, civil society organizations,
Mm-hmm.
UTAG, the organized labor, Catholic bishops. I mean, so many of us got together and we said, this cannot continue. Demands were made, declare a state of emergency, a targeted state of emergency, not a shoot and kill. We're not in a jungle. A targeted state of emergency, go to the illegal mining hotspot, remove the environmental terrorists and their
Mm-hmm.
equipment. Because what is happening, if we don't act now, parts of Ghana will become no go areas. As we speak, some of them are very heavily armed, chasing
I
away
I did
people.
see that.
Recently,
Yes.
Yes, and we're just, there are parts of Latin America where it's a no-go area. You think it started
No.
overnight? It didn't start overnight. So we said declare a state of emergency. Then we also said revoke LI 2462, which was a piece of legislation. It's unconstitutional. It takes away the restrictions on mining in forest reserves. I mean, it's just a bad piece of law. We said revoke it. Then we said pause small-scale mining. Even with the big companies, there are few of them. So if you want to monitor, you can monitor. But we were issuing small-scale mining licenses like confetti. You cannot monitor. You're giving somebody a license. Before they start mining, they're supposed to do certain things. They just start mining. Who is paying attention? Even the police don't seem to know that before they start mining, they need to get a digging license. They need to get this from the EPA. They just brandish their license and start mining. Whether they are close to the water bodies, nobody takes any notice. So we said, pause it until you get your act together. And then we said, persons had been named in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, highly placed person. So we said, investigate them. Investigate them. If they're investigated, then it's the need be for them to be prosecuted and they are found guilty. In addition to the term, seize their assets and sell them and use towards the cost of reclamation, using the polluter pays policy, so that we know that if you go and poison the Ghanaian environment, we'll be held accountable. We made all these demands. The current president told us that should he come to power, he would revoke LI 2462. He was right behind us. He also talked about revoking e-levy, which does not cause any existential threat. He came to power with an overwhelming mandate. Many people voted not for him, but against the past administration because they were fed up with them. So they were not necessarily voting for him, but they wanted to vote for the party that could out the past administration. Whatever reason people voted for the current administration, they have an overwhelming majority. They've come to power. They've revoked the e-levy, which wasn't causing an existential threat. They've revoked the betting tax, which was not causing an environmental threat. But what is killing us, they have failed to do
Why?
so. And they actually, what they did was that they put forward an amendment, deceiving some members of the press who thought that the amendment was a revocation. Revocation means you do away with the entire law. What they've done with the amendment is that they've just taken out a bit of it. And we said the whole law is not fit for purpose. There are too many things that need to be taken out. Revoke that law, which is a bad law, and then we can retain what we had before, which we can work with. But this law allows virtually unfettered access to our already depleting forest reserves. So this is very disappointing, but we are still on it. We are still eco-conscious citizens and other organizations, Arocha, others have taken the case to court, asking the court to declare that the LI 2462 is unconstitutional and should be done away with. So we are in court now. But we are also saying that when things fail, it will be up to Ghanaians to either sit there quietly and be poisoned or decide that enough is enough. We need to hold the government to account. And before I stop on this stretch, we had Honorable Sami Jamfi, whilst Parliament was on recess. The tape is there. I can send it to you, telling Ghanaians that as soon as Parliament resumes, in fact, his words were, immediately Parliament resumes, we will revoke LI 2462. Parliament has resumed. LI 2462 was not revoked, and the amendment has matured. I believe Sami Jamfi meant it when he said it. He's a responsible person. He will not come on air and say something he knows not to be the truth. So I know he meant it. But it just tells you that there are factions within the administration. Some are for it and some are against it. And unfortunately, those against the revocation won the day
And I, I,
for now.
I, when we talk about greed and the environment and illegal mining, I do tend to believe, and this is my personal belief, that there are elements also up there involved in this, understanding and
Of
knowing the
course. And
Ghanaian mentality. There are elements who actually are part and parcel of our problem. So we need to figure them out as well. Because,
well, we do. You see, we do. A lot of them were named in Professor Frimpong
okay,
Boateng's report. He was head of the agency that was doing this illegal mining, and they were not working because highly placed persons were involved. So he had a report where he named these persons. We know them. He named them, and the reports gathered dust on somebody's desk for a while until sections of the media, it was leaked to them, and they started making. That's why I've been saying that we need to investigate all those named in Prof.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
We had a company known as Akonta Mining. One of the directors of Akonta Mining was the chairman of the Ashanti Regional of the NPP. He was the party chairman, and his company, Akonta Mining, was allegedly involved in illegal mining because even though they had a license, when you have a license and you go outside the parameters of the license, you are involved in illegal mining. So far as they went against the so far as they went against the parameters of their license, they were involved in illegal mining, and they allegedly destroyed part of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve, which is terrible. But that's what they did. And so, because they were highly placed, I remember, was it 2 or so years ago, the Catholic Bishops' Conference at their meeting with the president actually raised the matter of Akonta Mining. And our president said, at this present time, Akonta Mining is not involved in, he's a lawyer just like I am, choosing his words very well. But the Catholic Bishops' Conference, to be fair to them, they raised it because it was all over the place. And I'm sure you've heard of journalist Erastus Asare
Yes.
Donko. He's an award-winning journalist. He's a fantastic person who has put his life on the line to bring us information about illegal mining. So he's done a lot of documentaries. He's done Poison for Gold. He's done Destruction for Gold. So we know the players. So you are absolutely right. Now, this current administration, we've also have names of high ups within the current administration who are also allegedly involved in illegal mining. And that's why we're not getting anywhere. That's why the president will say one thing, and now it seems different things are happening. That's why they are not declaring a state of emergency. And we are saying that we didn't vote for musical chairs. That's not what we
Yes.
voted for.
Yes. You're very right. So, as you and I are having this conversation, my mind keeps going to the next generation, like my children, those that are coming, and say the younger generation also in these villages and whatnot. I find to in Ghana that we need a lot of teaching, we need a lot of education, we need a lot of mindset revolution. How is eco-conscious citizens reaching out to the youth to actually empower them to take on this fight where you are not there, you are leading it in Accra, but they can still continue in their spaces?
You see, with eco-conscious citizens, we have members all over. So, for example, one of the cases we are doing is in the northwest region in Atronsu, where they had this pristine stream, the Atronsu stream, the source of drinking water, pristine. And then this mining has come to pollute their water bodies. It's a long story. They came to us when a group of people had a community mining license and they were opposed to it. We managed to get a lawyer to take the case to court. And for some time, they had some respite. Then the illegal miners just decided to go there. We reported it to the police. No action was being taken. I mean, we have activists there. One of them is a teacher as well as the cocoa farmer. He also has, in his students, he's also leading the next generation. And, so this was going on. After a lot of complaints, the police arrested the illegal miners and promptly gave them bail. And they went right back to the illegal mining. So on Farmers' Day last year, I got a call that the activists had been arrested. So I called the police and asked them that why have they been arrested? And he says that two excavators were burnt, and they suspect that it's the activists who burnt it. And I said, I'm from my conversation with them, they were arrested, but their families, they didn't burn the excavators. But with all due respect, we have been reporting to you what is happening to their Tronso stream, to their farmlands, and so on and so forth, and not much is happening. So I would ask you to give them bail. He told me that I shouldn't worry. He was going to the Farmers' Day event, and that was a Friday, so I remember very well. So what they did was that they quickly refused them police bail, rushed them to court with no lawyer of their choice there was a lawyer there who tried to intervene. So instead of um, the court putting them in custody for 2 weeks, I think it was a week. And then I think within 3 days, our lawyer was able to go to Atromsu and get bail for them. So you have a situation where the activists were rather arrested and refused police bail, refused court bail in the first instance. And then those who were actually destroying the environment were just left to destroy. The good news is that I don't know who burned the excavators, I wasn't there. Our activists say they didn't burn it. But the good thing that came out of the burning of the excavators is that the illegal mining has stopped. The illegal mining has stopped, and the stream is gradually,
Returning to.
getting
Yes.
back to its
Yes.
yes. So that is the situation. But I digress. As eco-conscious citizens, we have a school in La Wile School. We do work there. In fact, we took them to Parks and Gardens in Accra, opposite the DVLA cantonment. They are in La. A lot of them did not even know there was a place called Parks and Gardens. We took them there. They had a tour of Parks
I,
and Gardens. They found out
I
about the
didn't
trees
even
and so on
know.
and so forth.
All I know is Efwa
Okay.
Sutherland Park.
Yes, Efro Sutherland Park is there. There are other parks, but there's also parks and gardens. The problem with parks and gardens is that they don't, it's now that they've started sort of, because we had a program on City News, and the presenter there also said they didn't know about it. So, but anyway, there's parks and gardens there, and now it's becoming more vibrant, but they hadn't heard of it. So we took them there, and the officers there told them about the trees, the plants, and then they also had a session where you could do flower arrangement. And what's very interesting is that she had asked for two volunteers for the flower arrangement. And then a gentleman, one of the boys, put up his hand. And then she said, "Oh no, this is for girls
No.
only." So my colleague said, "Sorry, if the young man wants to do it, allow him to do it." So he was allowed to do it because there's no gender when it comes to flower
No.
arrangement. I took my colleague's intervention, good naturedly saying, "Sorry, if he wants to do it, let him do it." So we've done that, taking them to parks and gardens. We've also had a nursery and coming to, we have Asantisin Gardens where we are, brought them to Asantisin Gardens. They've identified the different trees that are there, the different colors of plants. So we also have a place called Asantisin Gardens where we, World Environment Day or World Wetlands Day, would ask the students to come. They'll have a session here in the open, in the garden, so that they begin to have an
Appreciation for nature.
appreciation of green spaces. Because you see, it's not for nothing that God put us in the Garden of Eden. I mean, Christians just like the verse that says, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord," so they can shout and disturb everybody. But the Lord put us in the Garden of Eden for a purpose. He said, "Take care of it." So, as a Christian, we have a mandate, or shall I say, as Christians, we have a mandate to take care of the environment. And so that we should all, I'm not saying we should all form an organization and be, but we should all take care of our surroundings and be concerned when somebody litters. Be concerned when our shea butter trees, a shea butter tree could take about 20 years to mature, and people are cutting it for charcoal.
Hmm. Sister,
What
I,
does one say? What does one
I'm
say?
at a loss for words, and that is why I went silent. But it truly, and that is one of the things that I really love about the podcast. For instance, having conversation with people such as you, is that my audience are not only in Ghana, but they are Canada, they are
The
in the
diaspora.
diaspora.
Mhm.
We want to come home. You are home. You're doing
Yes.
the work. So
Mm.
if we say because we're not home yet, it is not our concern, there's a big problem.
A big problem. What I think those in the diaspora should do, support those who are working. Let me name somebody like Erastus Asaredonko, who has put his life on the line. I mean, I pray for his family every day, especially his wife, because I can see how concerned she must be. He goes to the illegal mining area. He's been beaten before, threatened before. There's another journalist also with Joy, known as Ohimeng Tewia. He interviewed me. He had just been to a forest reserve. He went back there. He was beaten up and almost killed. Almost killed. These, and they're not the only journalists who have been beaten up. When Erastus was beaten up, he was with a team. So what I'm saying is that if, for example, you are outside, how about also contributing towards the work of these journalists? Send your £5 every month. You can ask for a Momo account for people like Erastus, or you can make it a journalist fund. So a journalists who are attacked. Then we have the forestry officers. I think a couple have been actually killed by the environmental tourists. Some have been assaulted. You see, there's a lot we can do without being there physically. And then when their petitions, sign them. You have relatives in Ghana, you know people in Ghana. So you need to be concerned about what is going on. You need to be concerned about what is going on. Because I keep on saying that it's not because you are there, only because you are there that's of course. You have relatives in
Oh
Ghana.
yeah.
And even if you didn't have relatives in Ghana, it's either the land of your birth or the land of your parents' birth. Have some love towards the country. So there's a lot that can be done. I mean, we are not a funded organization, but I'm not necessarily asking for funding for eco-conscious citizens. But my heart is going out to the journalists who are putting their lives
Yeah.
on the line. And we should sometimes show them some love. That look, we don't just see your post and like it and comment, but we understand that you are giving up a lot. So there's a little we can do for your families. This is something that we'd also like to do. I can imagine how the parents of Erastus feel each time they see a post of his and see that, he was nearly attacked. They don't want to bury their son. So we need to sometimes feel a bit of love for people who have put themselves at the forefront, because our government is not acting as swiftly and as robustly as it should to stop this illegal mining. And I can say to you that if we declare a state of emergency and there is no political interference, you see, our army is well trained. They are well trained. If we allow them to do what they've been trained to do, give them clear terms of reference, no political interference, I'm telling you, we'll get to the bottom of this matter. But you can't have a situation where they are going somewhere, there's a phone call, don't turn right, turn left. Do you see
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Once there's political interference and certain persons, either because they are members of parliament or party chairman or whoever, they finance whichever party, whether MPP, NDC, NPYD, I really don't care, then they feel that they can do what they like. I mean, in some areas, people are mining right next to police
And the
stations, and the
police are
police are
just
just
looking at it.
watching,
So
looking
we
at it.
are also
And
how do we call it, proponents of our own demise if we cannot
of
see
course,
that this is bad and there's a police station there. Now I'm going to share with this with you, and I think you may have heard it. There's one thing that really irks me when I speak to people, say in Ghana, and they say, oh, a brochure dear untime nyesa. Ekejo te America lo ni ne Canada onyo fe na kai onyo fe ne ye ni ne
mhm,
Britain.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, why
Mhm,
is it that
mm.
way? Because there's
You see,
respect.
because there's
And
enforcement. I would say that the word is enforcement. In Ghana, I will tell you we are allergic to enforcement. I mean, the laws are there, and we just allow lawbreakers to do what they want. I mean, let me give you an example with noise pollution. We all know that you cannot, because you're having a party, destroy and disturb everybody. Then you're having a party, good for you. But the noise should not go outside the confines of your property. You're a church. You're preaching to those who have come. Why should somebody miles away be hearing you? You don't do that. It's very selfish. The person may have a headache. He may be writing a paper. He might be working from home like I do, and therefore he needs his peace. You try and tell the duty bearers, they don't do anything about it. So you embolden churches, you embolden drinking spots, you embolden community centers. But in other countries where the duty bearers enforce the law, they wouldn't do it. The
mhm,
same Ghanaians don't engage in such behavior when they're outside, because they'll be held
yes.
accountable. You know about our Ramsar sites. People are building on Ramsar sites. Ramsar sites are not, we signed all the convention. You're not supposed to build on them. We are
Oh,
building on
those
them.
are the
You might
water
go there and see stop here.
retention or pathways.
Yes, water retention areas where the roots of some of these plants, they even attract as a sieve to
Yes.
sieve the waters. And as you said, it mitigates against flooding. Then the migratory
Yes.
birds, they also come and
Yeah.
and refresh themselves there. They have so many uses. In La, I'm
Mm,
in La, the Peshi. My mother tells me in her days, you had tilapia, you have everything there. Now go and look
Mm-mm.
at the Kweshi. They are filling it and they are building on it. World Wetlands Day, we went there with some pressmen trying to raise awareness of what is happening to our wetlands. But what goes on? As I speak, I was called about a week ago around 11 p.m. that the Pechi was being filled with debris so they can go and build in other sections of the wetland. And what are the authorities doing about it? They started some
They
demolitions and
stopped.
then they just stopped.
And you know what?
Why? Because
Some
somebody highly placed said, I don't want you to demolish my house, and then
and
they
you know
stopped.
what? That's why we'll keep dying. When the rain has
But you see,
nowhere
I'm
to
saying
go
that I believe
and it gets stagnant, it
absolutely.
it rises because whether you block it to water always has to flow from A to
You
Z.
see, water is a very
It is.
powerful force. But what is sad is that if, let's say, you build and only you die, in a sense, so be it. But the sad part is that you are taking other people with you. And sometimes when the flooding comes, it floods homes of people who have been law abiding. You know, what is going on in Ghana, I say, is pure wickedness. I just think of myself, maybe my family,
Jesus.
but really, we're very, very selfish. And we are just thinking of ourselves. There are laws which we choose to disrespect. We're not supposed to build on waterways. We're not supposed to build on Ramsar sites, but we do that anyway. You know, when you are building, you are not supposed to build on your entire plot. You're supposed to leave some
Yes.
space which shouldn't be paved, but so that when it rains. I remember a building that was reported to me. They were building on almost every inch of the land. It was in Ladade Kotopom. I went to the duty bearers and they told me that it's their land. So you ask yourself that you're in that position and you do not know that whether it's your land or not, you cannot build on every inch of your land. And then the area where we are at, I told you it's called Abomi. That's
Yeah.
a garden. When I had the Isla Environmental Group, we wanted to plant trees, all right down the junction. Some have survived, some were removed, and kiosks have been planted. So when you come, you see that from Palm Wine Junction right up, we have planted kiosks, removed the trees, and kiosk, 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 kiosk. What were the duty bearers doing? Just watching. So where there's supposed to be a pavement, you might see a kiosk. Where you are supposed to plant trees, you would see a kiosk.
And then they complain
And some
that
of us,
it's very hot.
that's and what, even more interesting, we have a lot of trees in front of the house. Then they want to come and park their cars under
Oh,
your
hell
shade
no.
tree. But hell no. And then you see, then you are the wicked person. You have felled all the trees. We have kept ours. You want to come and park your
Mhm.
tree there. Doesn't it amaze you the way we always want to park under the shade? Yes, we don't want to plant trees in our homes. I mean, I find the behavior um, very astonishing to say
So
the least.
that was one of the conversations that I was having with a friend. So I have a big backyard. I don't have a garden yet. And I was talking about, having garden to table, your herbs and everything. And most especially, the conversation was geared here, but also looking at Ghana. Everybody's complaining that tomatoes is expensive, onion is expensive, pepper is expensive, that is expensive. But there are people who lives in homes that can create a garden. But and let's just take it that gardening as therapy.
It is
Yes.
therapy. It is. It
That
is.
can create a garden and get all these basil, this lemongrass, whatever
These
herbs
herbs, yeah. Mhm.
right from there instead of going to buy it. But we would rather concretize the whole space. So it's I'm not so sure about also whether the Western education that we got somewhat twisted our mindsets and took us from in the past whereby
No, I wouldn't. No, 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 no. I
I'm
wouldn't say
listening.
that. In fact, what I would say is that, I mean, I was talking to some people and they were saying that when they were young, they had the
Yes.
civics. And during civics, they learned all these things about your environment, about
Yes.
littering,
Yes.
about so many things. So I don't think it's the worst thing. I mean, if I look at it, I had a mixture because I at the age of 5, I went to Switzerland. I
Mm-hmm.
was there for 5 years, came back, Richard,
Mm-hmm.
and then Achimota. In Achimota, we took house
Mm-hmm.
gardening seriously. And then, we also had the
Yes.
arboretum where you had all the trees. There was also farming. So it wasn't as if, that was Western education, even though, we had we have the black and white
Yes.
keys of the piano. And it was about taking the best
Mm-hmm.
from both cultures. Because you see, you can play the piano with only
Yes.
the black keys. You can play the piano with only the white keys. But it's only when you mix the two that you have harmony or melodies. Well, we said that, taking the best from the two, because not everything in our culture is
Right.
100%, and not everything in the Western
That is
culture
right.
is 100%. So
Mm-hmm.
it's taking the best. But I'm saying that I don't think it's a question of Western education per se. It's just a question of us having developed a sense of extreme selfishness, and our duty bearers having let us down. Because you see, all the right
Mm-hmm.
things we know, all the laws are there. There's nothing that needs to be passed. There's no new law that needs to be passed. All that is needed in this country, I'd say, is enforcement, enforcement, and enforcement is the best
Mm-hmm.
form of education. You have a child and you say, Kofi
Mm-hmm.
Kafe, Kofi does it. Kofi Kafe, Kofi does. You give
Mm-hmm.
Kofi a little knock. So Kofi realizes that when mommy says don't do it, it's followed
Mm-hmm.
by a consequence. So Kofi stops doing it. But if you keep on saying don't do it and you smile, I'm educating you, don't do it and you smile, he knows that, but there are some children who you don't have to do anything. You say don't do anything.
Yes.
They just don't do it. So human beings are different. You have the good, you have the bad, you have the ugly. But for us to
Mm-hmm.
have sanity, there needs to be consequences. Sometimes it's just a caution, sometimes it's just a warning. But the time comes when you have to set an example so that everybody learns that this kind of behavior is
Mm-hmm.
accompanied by a sanction. If I don't want this sanction, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
engage in that behavior. So I don't think it's the education as such. I think it's maybe they've removed civics, I don't know, but I do think that it's because we can see what is happening around us and there
Yeah.
are no consequences. There's no consequences.
Lord have mercy.
But it all is not lost. You are doing
Yeah.
your podcast. We have organizations, like I said, Food Sovereignty Ghana, Arocha Ghana. People are stepping in. And this lady,
Yes.
Wangari
Yes.
Maathai,
Yes.
I'm sure you've
Yes.
heard of
Yes.
her. Yes. She is somebody who, the
A
first
Nobel
African
Prize
woman to
for
win a Nobel
yes.
Prize for her act. Yes, yes. And she
Yes.
started in Kenya, planting her trees, formed the
Mm-hmm.
Green Belt movement. There was a time when people were laughing at her. Now look at
Yes.
what
Yes.
she has achieved, in Kenya, and you can't roll away what she achieved. And then I always
Mm-hmm.
remember also African American Shirley Chisholm,
Mm-hmm.
who said that you don't make progress by sitting on the sidelines whimpering
Yes.
and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas. So the way I was brought up, something is wrong somewhere.
Yes.
Yes, we all let off steam, but at the end of the day, what can I do
Yes.
to make a difference? So it's not that I think I'm
Yeah.
some way, but it's more like things are going on wrong. How can I make a difference and stop
Yes.
the behavior? But sometimes it's a bit sad because you see people who are just as educated as you are, maybe even more skills than you are. They see something going on wrong and they won't do anything about it. So you are the one who's being targeted because you are the one who would say, look, we can't just stand idly by and allow this to happen. And if we all keep quiet, how would anybody know that this is wrong behavior? Because
I'm
the young
learning.
people coming up, they are looking at what is going on. And if all they see is that when you build a house, all you go and do is put concrete on the whole place,
And
that's what they're going to
artificial
aspire to.
grass. That artificial.
Oh gosh, don't have. Would you believe the school I mentioned? Would you believe the school I mentioned, La Wireless School? They had a beautiful, I think about 3 or 4 years ago when it was
Mm-hmm.
International Earth Day. There's a organization called the Flower Movement in Ghana. It's led by this beautiful lady, Sister Esther. So she, Parks and Gardens head, and the
Mm-hmm.
Israeli ambassador, they had what you call Jerusalem
Mm-hmm.
Garden at the school. So they planted an
Oh,
orchard.
okay.
So the children would water. Beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful orchard. Then let me fast forward to about
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago when
Mm-hmm.
Ladade Kotopon had the brilliant idea that they were going to turn the place into a football park. So they're going to use artificial grass. So we went and saw them, explained to them that nowhere in the world do you have a garden, you have orchard They are going to get rid of the trees and go and put artificial grass there. And we show them the evidence about even the damage that the artificial grass does,
It's
the damage that
plastic.
it does when the players fall on it. Oh, they told us they were listening. When the school was on break, Nicodemus, they went there, removed the trees and everything. Now, when you go there, there's astroturf there, so that when it rains now, there's damage because before
The
the
roots,
the,
yeah.
the grass would soak. Yes, and they removed the orchard, something the children took pride in. They could water it. It's gone, and this is the local authority, not illegal persons. So the people who are supposed to be educating are rather in need of
That
education.
I totally, totally agree with you. Before we round up, Awula Serwah. Hey, my sister is Serwah as well. I just finished speaking to her.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
So
nice.
your name is
My
very
namesake.
dear
Yeah.
to me. And even the Awula, it's like, hey, hey. I just fell in love with you and your name. So you don't have a choice. God bless
Oh,
you.
thank you very much.
Me and my
God bless
trouble are
you
coming
too.
your
God
way.
bless. No, no, no. But I'm just looking forward
Yes.
to meeting you. And we've also got a
Hmm.
garden, the KBR Santi
Yeah.
Memorial Garden in
Hmm.
Maijo. So we'll have to
I
take you
will
there as
be
well.
very, very glad. And as a matter of fact, as you were speaking to me, I was thinking about a one plot that I have up in going to the Akosumbo area, which is Akrade. Yes,
Beautiful area.
slightly up the
Yes.
hill. And because I do a lot
Mm.
of art, I do some artwork, some poetry, literary activities with children and everything.
Okay.
I was thinking about farming, but then previously before then, I was thinking about a garden because there are no garden spaces there.
Look at that. Every area is supposed
Yes.
to have a green space.
So,
Every area.
as speaking to you, I think my mind is changing as to how to utilize the land. In that when people come, there should be sitting areas you can sit and you can enjoy nature. And then you added the
Absolutely.
orchard, and it's like, oh, this is fantastic.
Mm.
I know I don't want to buy mangoes. I know I don't want to buy how do you oranges, papaya,
Oranges,
whatnot. No,
pawpaw, everything. Yeah.
breadfruit or whatnot. And imagine having all this on the land and also being able to enjoy whilst you're there.
Absolutely, having
Have
your herbs as well. Because as you rightly said, one thing Prof. Frimpong Boateng said, the
mhm.
one who wrote that report with all the high fly, he said that when you destroy a forest, you have destroyed a pharmacy. You have
That is
destroyed
very
a
true.
pharmacy. Because you see, he's a medical doctor. In fact, he was responsible for setting up the cardiothoracic center in
Hmm.
Kolebu. So I had great respect for him because we didn't have a cardiothoracic center. I believe he
Hmm.
was in Germany. And when he was leaving Germany, he came and set up there. He had a lot of trouble when he wanted to set. When you're a pioneer, but he stood his ground. He was able to set up the cardiothoracic center in Kolebu. So he's a medical doctor. He said, when you destroy a forest, in addition to all that forest
A
do, you've also
pharmacy.
destroyed a
And which
pharmacy.
is really true because our indigenous knowledge systems, when they say you cannot go into this forest and it's say our fetish priests or priestesses or our herbalists that go in, they go in to bring medicine.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And you see, it's very sad, that Christianity was supposed to set us free, which it has done. But I remember this lady, she's in her 90s, and she was telling me
Hmm.
that when she was a child, she came from the
Hmm.
Atiwa area. The Atiwa forest, you don't even mention the name because, as you were saying, there's some places you rightly said that you just don't go. Right now, people are just there destroying the place. There was a kind of respect
Yes.
for nature. And if you love God, you
Yes.
have to respect nature. The same God who you said had given you the mineral deposit, he also gave you the beautiful trees and all that sort of thing. So what makes you think that you can just go and destroy it all because you think that there's gold or bauxite or whatever there? So you have said it all. It is true. We need to look at some of our traditional
Yes.
norms. And some of them still exist today. For example, you're not supposed to
Yes.
fish on Tuesdays. To this day, they
Yes.
don't fish on
And
Tuesdays. But why is it that the other ones to do with our forest
then
reserves and our water
farming on
bodies, we have
Thursdays
sort of
are banned. Yes.
exactly.
Uh,
Yes. So what is it? We've chosen what we want to keep, and what we don't want to keep, we haven't chosen. And I think one last thing I'd like to say before we go, when we talk about illegal mining, you have some people coming to say that, oh, you see, you can't stop illegal mining until they get a livelihood. So why don't we say that you can't stop armed robbery until they get a livelihood? Because you see, illegal mining is pure criminality, pure criminality. And a lot of the time, it's not necessarily livelihood, it's greed. Because some have left their jobs to go into illegal mining. Some school children have left school to
quick
go into
money.
illegal mining. It's about quick money. And also in those areas, food grows easily. Even here, there are some things that we haven't
Yes.
planted that have come. Like you said, that if you can plant your own tomatoes, onions, and even those who have paved everywhere, the plastic dispensers
Yes.
where we put the water, you can even use that to plant.
That's
You can get
true.
planters and plant. There's no
That's true.
excuse whatsoever. So you shouldn't be spending money on tomatoes, onions, ginger, garlic. It should
Yes.
just be the herbs. So this illegal mining is more about greed, and for you to be complicit in saying that yes, government has the responsibility and they should provide jobs. There's no doubt about that. But if you're going to wait for everybody to get a job before you tackle, we'll all be dead by then. We'll
That
all
is
be
true.
dead by then. And you see, when you ask me about the age group, we are taking everybody who wants to join us. My mother, who is 97, 2 years ago when we went to the
Yes.
picket, she came with us. So we have those who are young. We even had a 5-year-old, I think, on the who has come. So it depends on who is willing, who has understood that we have a duty to take care of the environment. All I do is I tell the young folks that I have got more behind me
That
than
is
in
true.
front of me. I don't think I'm going to live up to 150. So I've got more behind me than you are, the generation coming up. But some of them, the
Oh,
apathy,
that is
the
the
apathy.
word.
I mean, a group of people try to get some of them involved, and the apathy. You sometimes you have to pray, and you need to let them wake up. And sometimes they need to see poison for gold, see the deformed baby. They need to see things that will shock them into, if not because they want to help others, just for themselves. That if they don't do anything about it, they're
Wow.
signing their own death warrant. But it's sad because I remember I was in the Aluta days, when we used to, there's something wrong, we'll do something about it. So to see young people who are maybe just on their mobiles all the time, and they don't seem to realize that it's your future. It's also for us because we are still alive. I don't think I'm going to die tomorrow. So whilst I'm alive, I want a good environment. But it's also for the next generation. So I think every single Ghanaian must get involved. The young, the not so young, and our grandparents,
Yes.
everybody who has life. Because once you have life, there's
Yes.
something you can do. Even if you're sitting in your home, signing a petition, or taking the phone, calling somebody, and trying to educate the person about what's going on. If you look at the model of Christ, he started with 12 disciples, then the 77. Now look at how many people claim to be Christians, although most of them are just churchgoers. So that's another conversation. But at least it has I say that going to church doesn't make you any more of a Christian than going to McDonald's makes you a hamburger. So it's not the going to church that's important. It's bearing fruit, bearing the fruit
Yes.
of the spirit. That is what's
Oh my
important.
goodness. If I continue to ask you more questions, we are going to go till day break. But I know that when we meet in person, I know we're going to dig in
Yes,
more and have more visualization, walk people
absolutely.
through the different steps. And I am so pumped looking forward to it because it is
I'm looking forward
needed,
to it. Yeah.
and I want to know how to lend my voice to this and also bring people along with me to lend my voice. I have a 10-year-old or 11-year-old neighbor that yesterday this young girl was talking to me about environmental consciousness. I'll I'll
Fantastic.
Yes,
Praise God.
Caribbean background. She's talking about the Alberta oil fields pollution and how we should stop all this in
Right.
Canada and what needs to be done. And I'm listening to this young girl outline her steps and everything. and I said, okay, so how best can we help you realize this? She wants to do tree planting. So I said, okay, go think about it. We
Fantastic.
may need to go to the mayor, put forth that idea, get a place, and on World whatever tree day or whatnot, all of us are going to come. Me, your parents, and we get people. We're going to support you, and you
Fantastic.
do it. I met the girl 3 days ago. When she saw me the second day, ran to me as if she's known me for a long time. This morning, as I got out of the house to go sit in my car, she spotted me while she's on her way to school, ran to hug me with a brother, and I sent them off to school. But
Oh,
the reason I am
fantastic.
sharing this story is that such children also need to be empowered, and such children need to be
Absolutely.
connected to,
In fact, we should
yes,
do a twinning so we can be connected to young people in Ghana who are also
exactly.
planting trees.
Yes. So,
Yes.
and I,
So they
for
can
me
twin.
personally,
Yes.
I was very excited because I interviewed Nana Yaa Yeboaa when I was doing my work on deforestation and its impact on the environment in Ghana. And how do you call it? So, and I also re-interviewed him just not too long ago. So it's like the
Okay.
environment keeps coming up and coming up.
Now it's
It is our
crucial. It's
home.
our home. And you see, when your environment is a great environment, I think that it also
Yes.
produces something good. But when you live in a polluted environment, from the beginning, the
Yes.
odds are against you. The odds are against you because you're in a sense a product of your environment. And that's why the people in Atronsu were doing all in their power to
Yes.
save the Atronsu stream. They are so proud of it. They have the
Yes.
history of the Atronsu stream, and they said, "Look, we are cocoa farmers. We have our beautiful stream. We
Yes.
don't want any community
Yes.
mining. We don't want it. God has given us a beautiful environment. We
Yes.
just want to preserve it. Thank you very much. Take your
Yes.
mining
And
somewhere
for
else."
such people, we give them the full support of what we can do to ensure that.
Exactly. And let me mention, I'm being remiss. There's this area in the northwest region known
Okay.
as Gemma, where they have a beautiful rainforest and they have preserved their area from illegal mining. So before their town, there's illegal mining. You have them and after them, but there's no illegal mining.
Mhm.
Why? Their chief, even though he was very ill and the illegal miners offered him a huge sum of money, he said, "Not under my watch. My ancestors kept this environment pristine for me. I will not betray their trust." And then we have somebody called Father JB. He used to be in Rome, he's back in Ghana. And Father JB is a fantastic advocate and activist. And he, together with the chief and other activists, obviously, but they are the leaders, they have come together and said, "No illegal mining under our watch." And you see, when the chief, the political authority, and the police say no illegal mining, trust me, it's very difficult for it to take place. But a lot of the time, either the chiefs are complicit, the political authority is, is deep in it, the police are involved. But Gemma must always be what shall I say, praised for the stand they have taken and ensure that there's no illegal mining in their area. Unfortunately, in Assem Chrome, despite the good work of the activists, you still have illegal mining. But they have been able, with the support of their chief, say sorry, no
In my
illegal
backyard.
mining. And
Yes.
thank God they've been able to protect the place. Yes, thank you very much for allowing me to mention
Thank
Gemma.
you, Awula Serwah, for saying yes. Thank you for coming on the Nana Yaa Yeboaa podcast. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate the work you're doing. And I will say that you have my full support any day, anytime. Reach out if and when you please. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You
Yes.
certainly hear from
So
me. Thank you
before we
so much.
finally
Bye-bye.
go, where do people
Yes.
find you and your organization, Eco Conscious Citizens Ghana?
Anybody who wants to find us, please, you can Google us, but a message, please send it to ecoconsciouscitizens at gmail.com. Ecoconsciouscitizens at gmail.com. We have monthly Zoom meetings on the last Thursday of every month from 6 p.m. GMT to 8 p.m. GMT every last Thursday of the month. So this coming Thursday, we'll have our meeting. You're welcome to join. So if you email ecoconsciouscitizens@gmail.com, we'll send you the link and you can attend our monthly Zoom meeting. Then you find out everything that has happened during the month and what we are hoping to do or achieve in the next month. So you are very welcome to join ecoconsciouscitizens@gmail.com. But Google us and you'll find
They are
out a lot
also
about us.
on they are also on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Instagram and
Yes.
LinkedIn, yes.
Yes.
LinkedIn,
Uh,
yes,
all
absolutely.
right. Thank you
Absolutely. Thank
so
you
much.
very
I
much.
appreciate you. Have a blessed day.
Splice Originals.